Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Latina Diaspora. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, we discuss issues pertaining to Latinos living in the United States. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate your love and continued support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notifications to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. And before I forget, I also have my main channel, which is Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, where we talk about everyday issues and we try to find logical solutions. So, with that being said, the topic for tonight is let's play ball. So, I'll be talking about some of the key major Latino baseball players. Okay. Um, Many countries have produced great baseball players like places like Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Venezuela, things of that nature. So before we get into the main topic, we're gonna have another episode of In My Words. Um, we've been hit lately with untimely deaths of some celebrities. It was a couple of days ago where Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was in Costa Rica on vacation, um, drowned when he was taken to sea by the current. So today, I came across the news that Chuck Mangione, who was known for playing his musical artist in jazz, passed away at the age, I think, I forgot, he was in his 70s or 80s. And Hulk Hogan, who passed away at the age of 71. Now, if he was around during the 80s, of course, you get to listen to Chuck Mangione play his musical instruments. And if he was into wrestling, um, one of your one of your heroes or one of your favorite performers was Hulk Hogan. Now, I'm not here to talk about his politics or some of the other um, not so pleasant aspects about him. But the fact of the matter is, for a generation, he was portrayed himself as a role model, basically talking about encouraging fans to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. Okay. One thing we have to understand is that not all public figures are perfect. Hulk Hogan was flawed. Nevertheless, it's a shame that he passed away. He was 71. And of course, we mourn the loss of Chuck Mangione. So, and it seems like we're losing um, a lot of professional people. But it just goes to show that tomorrow is not promised to anybody, and that we need to live our lives as best we can. Take up, and and value our time here on earth, and just be mindful. Don't put off until tomorrow what you could do today because you don't know whether you're going to be alive tomorrow. So that's something to think about. Now, with that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. Now, before we get into the main topic, for the next 2 weeks, other than short, I will not be doing any lives because I want to take a look and see what direction I'm to go with this channel. I might rebrand it a little bit. Um, so I just gonna take a look at the content and see where I can do better. Um, Maybe try to expand in other areas. So with that being said, as I stated, um, many countries have produced great ball players. Okay, and some of them even are in the Hall of Fame. So most likely, most of you will watch this in the playback because there are other content creators who are doing lives as we speak. So uh, let me just see if I can share my screen. Okay. Well, I don't know if the image will appear. Uh, just bear with me for a moment. Okay. So this was taken from the ESPN website, and you see in this image there are three widely known baseball figures. On the center, you have Roberto Clemente, um, who unfortunately um, passed away um, at age 38. Um, Basically, he was flying to, I believe, Nicaragua with relief efforts where there was an earthquake or some sort of natural disaster, and unfortunately, the plane crash, ending his life prematurely. And then on the other, nearby, you see Fernando Valenzuela, pitcher for the Dodgers for the 1980s and early 90s, and you had I believe it's Juan Marshall from the Dominican Republic. Okay, so let's just. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on some of the key great Latino ball players. And of course, I'm going to start with Roberto Clemente, who played his full baseball career with the Pittsburgh Pirates from the 1950s to 1972. Okay. Of course, he was the MVP of the 1971 World Series against the Baltimore Orioles. Let's see. The Latino boom in baseball would happen without Pittsburgh legend Clemente, a 5-tool player. But game would have been looked much different because Clemente was wore Latin America's heart on his sleeve, playing with an unbridled pride on his way to expedited entry into the Hall of Fame. Off the field, he displayed a passion to help the less fortunate. And Abid's Roberto Clemente reward is a testament to his competitive and humanitarian spirit. Almost 50 years after his death, Clemente continues to have an impact on Latin and Puerto Rican players such as St. Louis Cardinals catcher Yadier Molina. It is an extraordinary honor and a source of great pride for all of us to have an opportunity to wear number 21 in honor of Roberto Clemente on this great day. Molina told ESPN on the 19th edition of the Roberto Clemente Day earlier this month. And then you have Fernando Valenzuela, and here he is. Um, actually, his career started very well. First of all, in 1981, he actually won the Rookie of the Year award and the Cy Young award for being the best pitcher. The left-handed teenager with a quirky wind-up arrived in Hollywood and took the baseball world by storm as a rookie for the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1981, beginning with his opening day shutout against the Astros and ending with a World Series championship. The cultural phenomenon known as Phenomenomania is followed grip with the country and especially Latinos in Los Angeles, a group that was displaced from their homes with the arrival of the Dodgers in 1958. Valenzuela's 173 career wins are top among pitchers from Mexico, where significance cannot be overrated. And then another ball player, Pedro Martinez, whose career spanned from 1992 to 2009. And what's unique about him, he was a three-time Cy Young Award winner and 1999 NL pitching triple crown. Okay. Um, who's actually is a Hall of Famer as well. Hall of Famer Martinez dominated the mound as few have, and he did so at the height of the steroid era. The right-handed was the ace of any all-time Latino staff. His thoughts was must-see affairs. He slung his arrows at the strike zone as well as at batters who dared to intrude his territory. Along the way, he helped to end the Boston Red Sox 86-year championship drought and served as a beacon for pitchers from Latin America. And he's from the Dominican Republic. And for all Yankee fans, of course, there is Mariano Rivera, who pitched from 1993 to 2013. Now he is considered the relief pitcher of relief pitchers, and he has accumulated 652 saves. And considering he had a career that was like 18 years long, that's more than 30 saves a year. And of course, he was a part of the Yankee teams that won World Series championships in 1996, 1998, 1999, and 2000. Okay, he is the only ball player, Latino or otherwise, to be voted unanimously into the Hall of Fame. He was known as the Sandman. When he came into a safe situation for the New York Yankees, armed with his trademark color, it was lights out, or about as close as automatic as there was in baseball. One of the key components of baseball last Yankee dynasty also overcame many of the language barriers that immigrants face in their quest to thrive in the United States. And thrive he did, with 13 All-Star appearances, the World Series MVP award, and reputation of being the greatest closer of all time. And then you have Alex Rodriguez, whose career spanned from 1996 to 2014. He is a three-time MVP and also participated in the 209 World Series, and it was the last time that the Yankees won the World Series. And he has a career of 696 home runs. And he is another Dominican. Rodriguez, who was born in New York to Dominican parents, turned the sports world on his ear by signing a 10-year, $252 million contract with the Texas Rangers in the winter of 2000. The team was a cellar dweller during Ava's 3 seasons in Arlington and never made much of the noise in the turnstiles. But he more than held out his end at the ball with an average of 52 home runs per season and the 2003 MVP award before he was shipped to the Yankees. Rodriguez, the highest paid baseball player of all time today, is also the highest ranking Latino of all time in home runs with 696. However, his 2009 admission to PED use while with the Rangers and subsequent 211 game suspension has burdened his legacy. And then there were other Latino ball players who play not as well known. One of them is Martin Diago, who was a pitcher and everyday player. Okay, and there's this picture. And then, of course, we have, excuse me, Lefty Gomez, who played from 1930 to 1943. And of course, here's his picture. Okay, he was born in California with Spanish and Portuguese roots. Is the winning pitcher of the first All-Star game in 1933, with the color line firmly in place during the period of baseball history. It is difficult to highlight notable Latinos. However, Gomez, a 4-time 20-game winner and 3-time strikeout king, who shined on the bigger stage with the Yankees, stand out as the dominant left-hander of the era, regardless of heritage. And then you have Ian Bithorn. Okay, and there's this image. Puerto Ricans consider Bithorn's major league debut as a pitcher for the Chicago Cubs in April 1942 with deep source of pride, responsible, opening the doors a generation of the island ball players. It is Bithorn's name rather than Roberto Clemente's that graces the name of Puerto Rican's largest ballpark. Bithorn will peak in his sophomore season with 18 wins and a 2.60 ERA, and then sat out the next 2 seasons because of military service. He returned to play parts in 1946 and 1947, Major League season. Late 1951, a police officer in Mexico shot Bithorn under mysterious circumstances. So, and then we have another one, Alfonso Chico Carrasquel. Now, Carrasquel's third place finish in the 1950 Rookie of the Year voting sparked a new focus on defensive talent from down south and a new appreciation of the Latin ball player, considered to be the first in what we would consider Venezuelan pipeline of shortstop. The Chicago White Sox Carlos Scout approached the position with joy, and the showmanship not only added to his appeal. And then we have Juan Marshall, who pitched from 1960 to 1975. And here is in his rotation. The San Francisco Giants intimidated Dominican right-hander, then 25, outlasted 42-year-old Warren Spahn in a 16-inning duel. In 1963, widely considered the greatest game ever pitched, or on Juan beats Spahn, as the San Francisco Chronicle remember in its headline. Martial endurance that day announced the coming Latino presence, and along with authority. The first native of the Dominican Republic to earn a spot in Cooperstown. Marshall was the face of the 60s on the field and much as a Latino ever came alongside Roberto Clemente. And of course, we have Rod Carew, who played from 1967 to 1985 with the Minnesota Twins and the California Angels. With a discipline, with discipline learned in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves, Carew hit 388 in 1977 and a point the highest average in a season since Ted Williams hit 406 in 1941 and beat all the time hitting Latino heritage. Carew won the American League batting crown and now bears his name 6 times in a decade and 7 times overall. He joined as a member of the 3,000 hit club. And then we have another Latino ball player, Jose Canseco, who comes from Cuba. He was the 1986 Rookie of the Year award, followed by an MVP 2 years later. And there's his image. With Valentine off the board in his own category, the Havana-born Canseco put his stamp on the latter part of the decade with an unprecedented blend of power and speed that in 1988 led to baseball's first 40-40 season with the Oakland A's. That's 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in 1 year. Most consider the Bash brothers' legacy tainted because of the claims of his autobiography, Juice, that was introduced PEDs into baseball, but there's no denying that his style was among the brightest among Latinos or any player in the 80s. And of course, we have Sammy Sosa, another player from the Dominican Republic who played from 1989 to 2007. Okay. Now, what's unique about him is that in 1998, he competed with Mark McGwire um, to set the home run record for the season, which was set by Mark McGwire. Um, I think it was 70, 69, whatever. Okay, but let's see. Though it occurred in the 20th century, Sosa secured status when he waved an American flag during a home run trial in the aftermath of 9/11. Despite the cloud of suspicion of PEDs cast over baseball, no denying that the 1998 home run race brought fans back to the game 4 years after the strike pulled the plug on the sport. In the center all was Sosa, the Dominican power hitter, with 66 home runs in 1998 with the Cubs, bested by his previous high of 30. And then we have another Dominican, Dave Ortiz, who played from 1997 to 2016. And what's unique about him, he was the MVP of the 2004 ALCS, where the Boston Red Sox overcame a 3-0 record to beat our Yankees in 7 games, ending the curse, the drought of not winning the World Series. That hit that put it in the map gave birth to the Señor Octubre, on the way to breaking baseball's most famous curse. Big Papi's two-run walk-off home run off the Yankees' Paul Quantrill in Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS was the spark that allowed the Red Sox to overcome an 0-3 series deficit and eventually crown the World Series champions for the first time in 86 years. What's more, the postseason proves that he is helping strengthen his bond with his native Dominican Republic, where he remains bigger than life. And then we have a Miguel Cabrera, um, still playing. He is from Venezuela, and here he is. Cabrera became the first Triple Crown winner in 45 years in 2012, hitting with 330 with 44 home runs and 139 RBIs with the Detroit Tigers since making the professional debut at 16 in his native Venezuela. Cabrera has emerged to become his generation's most complete offensive ball player. He's always involved in giving back to the communities in Detroit and Miami while ensuring that Latino Brotherhood Clubhouse remains intact. And we're going to park it here. Okay. So as you can see, there's been a lot. There's been some great Latino ball players. Some of them we did not know they exist, and some of them we did not know they were Latino. Oh, before I forget, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit the link and opine regarding the topic at hand, they can do so. Again, let me make this perfectly clear. If I have never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one does not flash anything, which will cause the people of YouTube to take down their stream. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share one more article. I'm not going to be here that long. Just let me see. Um, Let me see if I can share my screen. 45 of the best Latino ball players. I'm not going to list all 45. What I'll just do is list some, and I'm just going to keep it going. And of course, Orioles. That is untimely death. Trying to bring relief to the victims, I believe in Nicaragua. And then we have Albert Pujols, another Dominican baseball player. Okay, who left an endeavor fielding really throughout his career with a machine for it. And of course, is Patriot. Okay, hello. My apologies. I'm having some technical difficulties. You know what? I think I'm just gonna not gonna try to share this stream, this article because it's basically does a re. I okay, but just to give an idea is oh no okay that's okay. So okay, so just it's just to give you an idea is just I'm just gonna what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this up. Do some technical difficulties here. Um, Now, as I stated before, I may be doing shorts because I just want to um, take a look, some changes as far as the direction of this channel will go. And unfortunately, I am the victim of crappy internet service. So hopefully you can hear me. But in any case, I will be live tomorrow night at my main channel where I'll have my topic of open discussion where I will share my views regarding several topics. Of course, you, the audience, will have an opportunity to opine. Um, and of course, if you have anything you want me to talk about, I will do my best to comply. So, with that being said, I'm just going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your understanding. And of course, we look close the same way that we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of mentally and intellectually challenged because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and mass insanity. This has been another episode of Latina Diaspora saying good night, take care, and peace.
Be strong.